associated to the side events that have been organized by the Prolife and Pro-Family groups in this country and on this continent. We are delighted to have with us Dr. Attila Beneda, Deputy Minister for Family Policy, Ministry of Human Capacities of Hungary. We are also delighted to have Ambassador Laszlo Mate, head of the Hungarian mission in Kenya. We also have Judith Galambos, Deputy Head of the Hungarian Mission in Nairobi. Okay. Along with Ms. Valerie Huber, Special Representative for Women's Health of the United States of America. We also have Marek Roll Gastek, hope I read it right, representative of the Republic of Poland to the UN programs in Nairobi. Makofi kwake. We have Douglas Schaefer, the health attaché of the US Embassy. Douglas, okay, he's right there. We also recognize Mrs. Angela Vidal Gandra da Silva Martinez, State Secretary of Family Affairs, Brazil. We've been advised that the nuncio will be joining us. You are aware of the confusion we caused in the city today, so he will be getting here in due course. I must also recognize Honorable Chris Wamalwa, the Deputy Minority Whip, Kenya National Assembly, and also the chairman of the Forum of the Catholic Members of Parliament. We have with us Honorable Professor Jacqueline Odwall, a legislator and a member of the Catholic Members of Parliament Forum. We also have Honorable Jennifer Shamala, another legislator, advocate, and family lawyer. You know the battles she's been fighting on the floor. Welcome, Honorable Shamala. We will be expecting to get Mr. Mahmoud Afifi, Director of Human Rights Affairs of Egypt, shortly. And as is the case, we were meant to start at 2:30. We will get rolling, and we will start with Ms. Valerie Huber to share with us what she has. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be here in Nairobi for the first time ever. You have a beautiful city, and you have wonderful food and fruits that I have tried, and I think the people have been so friendly, and I've so appreciated that. But I love your animals. So the U.S. government was asked to present about a special priority of this administration, and I'm pleased to do so. It is called Protecting Life in Global Health Policy, or PLGHP. And let me share just a little bit of background, first of all, of how PLGHP came to be. President Trump made a promise that he would defend life, and it was a promise kept. From the very first day that he took office, he signed another related effort, and it is called Protecting Life in Global Health Assistance. PLGHA communicates very clearly that no foreign NGO that promotes or provides abortion will receive any federal funds for global health assistance. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. That is our policy programmatically for our foreign health assistance. But what I'm going to share with you in terms of PLGHP is a parallel effort. This is focused really on the multilateral fora under the direction with the full support of our secretary, Alex Azar. The U.S. State Department gave to HHS the responsibility for PLGHP. I'm very pleased and I'm honored to serve with our secretary, who is very supportive and has given many public speeches, most recently at the UN General Assembly, in support of the efforts here for PLGHP. We know and we have seen that there has been an increasing pattern in health resolutions, even in global warming resolutions, in resolutions where it never appeared before. In almost every resolution, SRH and its derivatives are being included in the multilateral fora. We believe that there should be a strong focus on health and addressing the health crises of the day, and to empower people to thrive, rather than being bogged down in controversial issues for which we will never agree. Let's just look at the UN for just a moment to consider an illustration. Created in 1945, the UN had as one of its goals, and I just want to read this, it's on the screen, that it was to develop friendly relations among nations based on respect for the principle of equal rights and self-determination of peoples. The UN, a family of nations, 193. Something else really striking about the UN is that it is an assembly of equals. Large countries, small countries. It doesn't matter the GDP or the number of the population. Every single country has one vote. And when we just read a moment ago about one of the goals of the UN, it's really to be a safe place for free expression. As sovereign nations, each country has the freedom to express views of their country in this public and safe setting. However, surrounding these issues, this is increasingly not the case. There has been bullying around issues surrounding the life and family. There has been intolerance. And the most recent example is CSW 63. Just earlier this year, where countries objected to a resolution, and yet it was gavelled down as accepted, as though everyone agreed. That is not a safe place for free expression. So PLGHP emanates from what we just described there at the UN, but what we are seeing as ubiquitous across the multilateral fora. And so we thought it was important not to just be concerned about who we fund and to make sure that every penny of US dollars going to global health assistance actually goes to global health assistance. But in addition to that, that in areas where we can have a voice for policy, that we also need to defend those critical abilities of every single country. So here are the priorities for PLGHP. Together, we should focus on health. Focus on those efforts where we can save lives together. Those critical needs where if we were all working as one of 193 countries, we could solve health crises much more easily. And set aside those controversial issues. The effort is around these priorities: defending the family as the foundational and protective unit of society to the child and to societal health in general. Second, to defend against an international right to abortion. There is no such right. And to defend the sovereignty of nations, to make laws and policies according to their own constitution, laws, and culture on these very sensitive issues. Terms surrounding SRH, sexual and reproductive health, SRHRR, sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights, have been of a concern. The introduction of a new term, sexual and reproductive health and rights, SRHR, here at this conference is also a concern. Our president made a dramatic statement at the UN General Assembly this fall, in which he said this: Americans will never tire of defending innocent life. We are aware that many United Nations projects have attempted to assert a global right to taxpayer-funded abortion on demand, right up until the moment of delivery. Global bureaucrats have absolutely no business attacking the sovereignty of nations that wish to protect innocent life. Like many nations here today, we in America believe that every child, born and unborn, is a sacred gift from God. Now, our president has been pro-life and has made pro-life policies from the day he took office. But no president has ever stood in the midst of 192 other countries on the floor of the UN General Assembly to say enough. We now see ourselves as members of the U.S. government and as members of the Trump administration that we have a mandate here, and PLGHP is helping to satisfy that mandate. And part of that, as the president said, is that UN agencies have an obligation to stay within their mandates. There should be no pressure for countries to change positions on these issues. There should be no attempt to reinterpret terms that are different from what countries have come to consensus to agree. And so we have been so pleased and honored that some of our colleagues and friends from around the world have agreed to partner with the U.S., knowing that each of our countries are strong, but together we are much stronger. So in May in Geneva, we had our first public joint statement stating the importance of these issues. In July, another thing that has never been done in U.S. government, and that was that 2 of our cabinet secretaries sent a letter to foreign ministries and ministries of health across the world asking for consideration to partner surrounding these issues. And then at the UN General Assembly, 21 nations, including the U.S., stood in solidarity around these issues as well, each time representing more than 1 billion inhabitants from around the world. And so that brings us here to the Nairobi Summit. The U.S. government firmly supports the health of all people. We firmly support the health of all people, born and unborn. And SRHR is a new term with an express agenda for sexual rights and reproductive rights. And what is very important to note is that there are no caveats from within ICPD that are contained within SRHR, because this is not a term that sources back to Cairo 25 years ago. This is something new. And I want to bring just a couple of things as examples of that. On your left, there are a couple of quotes from the commitments for ICPD25 here in Cairo? No, take that back. This is from Cairo, not here in Nairobi. Here's what it states. Any measures or changes related to abortion within the health system can only be determined at the national or local level according to national legislative priorities. In circumstances where abortion is not against the law, such abortion should be safe. If you look at the context of that, that's really talking about national sovereignty. That abortion laws are solely a matter to be decided by a country. And then that second part, where abortion is not against the law, such abortion should be safe. That is a continuation of national sovereignty. It's not saying that every country should have no restrictions on abortion. What it's saying is countries that permit abortion should ensure that it is safe. And then when it's talking about reproductive health services, further on, again, it's a national sovereignty issue. And then further, when it talks about, further, you are able to pull up comments online of what statements countries made 25 years ago regarding ICPD. And there are many that are very interesting, but I wanted to just read one little piece from this one. This was like their EOP. Accordingly, the delegation of Ecuador enters a reservation with respect to all terms such as regulation of fertility, interruption of pregnancy, reproductive health, reproductive rights, and unwanted children. Now listen to the rest, which in one way or another within the context of the program of action could involve abortion. 25 years ago, that was Ecuador's concern. Short memories require reminders. We need to be concerned that what was agreed 25 years ago, that this would not include abortion, that it does not still include abortion. So what happens if there is an international right to abortion? If there is an international right to abortion, it has nothing to do with what your current laws are. If abortion is considered a human right, then that means any country that has any restriction whatsoever on abortion becomes a human rights violator. Human rights violators then will be subject to external pressure to change the laws. And that external pressure means a loss of national sovereignty on the most significant and sensitive of issues. So in closing, the Nairobi summit will be remembered. We will see these outcomes again, even though they are not negotiated outcomes. We suspect that this gathering is about institutionalizing SRHR as a new term. And together, we are gathered to protect life and to promote health. Thanks.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Many thanks, Valerie, for that affirming presentation and the fact that the US government is putting its weight behind protection of life in global health policy. I would like to recognize amongst us Bishop Alfred Rotich from the Family Life Office of the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops. We also have Reverend Dr. Nicholas Makanda from the National Council, Nelson Makanda from the National Council of Churches of Kenya. All right. We'll now listen to Ms. Angela Vidal of Brazil, Secretary of State for Family Affairs, Brazil.
Good afternoon. I'm so happy to be here to see people that share our ideas and want to exchange ideas and like plans and everything. I thank Valerie and everyone and the Hungarian and the bishop and everybody to be sharing this table. So I was asked to talk about public policies we have in Brazil, positive public policies, no? Because it's the first time in Brazil we have a ministry for women, family, and human rights. And we chosen the family as the main topic of the government. That means that it's a transversal topic, and whatever we think about public policies, we have to see that if that policy is for or against families, no? We've chosen positive agendas to face this, we think as reductionisms, what we have now as public policies for health and everything. And we want to bring real problems that we have to face, and not in a reductionist way, no? So in 10 months of government, 11 months now, we can see that the family has voice. It's strong. They're getting stronger again. For example, they're going to school and they say, we don't want ideology of gender. We don't want this politics implemented in with our children. For example, they are asking to have homeschooling. We are not allowed to have homeschooling in our country. So they're getting stronger to say what they want for their children, because the government is raising them. The government is giving them platform, not an interference inside the family, but promoting the family so that they can have voice. No, the families can have voices. And I want to tell you about our public policies. First of all, we have the programs we have now that are making the families stronger. No, we have a program that is called Strong Families. We give like 8 classes for families in each city. The government of the cities can have this plan, and they give 8 classes so that the families can understand their relationships. They can think about their relationships inside the family. With public agents, we form. No, the second thing is like a award for enterprises who invest in balance between family and work. So we are helping the enterprises to think about the balance between family and work, so that people can go back to the family and have microphone. It is okay? No, just in case. Thank you. So this is helping people to have a more balanced life and be able to come back to families. The third thing that is a concern for us is the impact of technology inside the families. So we have now a program that is called Reconnect to make families, parents face this problem because they don't know what is going on. So we're doing a campaign, courses, and we're going to have now in December a Detox Digital Day, and help parents to see, because we had also campaign called Embrace Life Against Suicide and Self-Harm. And the parents realized what was going on, that this content comes through internet, through technology, and they didn't even know, and whatever, pornography, pedophilia, and then they are getting aware about this situation, about what technology brings. And so we are trying to bring this to the parents so that they can see the harm maybe that is going on with the children. Also on sexual education, we are starting a program now that is called I've Chosen to Wait, to first of all make parents accompany, be with their children on these sexual issues. It's not the state who have we're not supposed to give like contraceptives or whatever. This must be decided inside the family, no? And parents must talk more about sexuality with their children. And also we're going to have this campaign because we have an observatory, a national observatory of the family, and we discovered like that the children are starting their sexual life, the guys with 12 years and the girls with 13. And this is, they are children, they are adolescents, so the parents must be there. So this is, I've chosen to 8, is going to make them think about what a relationship, a sexual relationship means. No, instead of giving like contraceptives, and we don't know what is going on in their hearts. No, so because if we want to have stronger families, we have to form new people to form these families in the future. So this is a concern for the government too. Then we have the life. We accept life, and the president is saying this, and Ministra Damaris, who works with me and is the ministry of minister of my ministry, she's saying since Geneva, and Valerie knows that in all meetings we had since Geneva in March, even in the women's assembly, that we accept life, we embrace life since its conception and in all circumstances. So this is a goal from Brazil. We embrace life, and the government embrace life. No. And now, when we had the Zika virus, they wanted to put abortion for the Zika virus. And what the government said, we're going to pay a pension for all the children. We are paying a pension for the children born with microcephalia, no? But we don't want the abortion, so the government is paying this, no? So this is great, isn't it? Yeah, and also adoption. We have another program that is family for everyone, family for every Brazilian. So we have this late adoption. We are trying to change the laws to make it faster, and we are promoting legal delivery. If you got pregnant, even in rape or whatever, you are able to give your a child, and we're going to receive as a legal delivery, and we're going to find a family for, and we don't, yeah, this is great, you know, and we are trying not to give the children like a family that receives but it's not going to adopt, so that the children don't suffer emotionally. So we have like a campaign that is called Adoption, 9 months of generation. Just 9 months for the child to be in another family as soon as possible, because we know that there are abuses too inside this, the orphanages or whatever. And then the education. We are rebuilding a relation between women and men. We don't want anymore this kind of speech that says, well, women against men, feminicide, and whatever, always putting one against the other. We want to rebuild this dialogue. We want to make people a complementary like relationship, because it's richness. No, it's not one against the other, or we're equal, but we have our differences, and this is a richness for the society. So since the first education, we are trying to build the relationships between girls and boys in a respectful way, to understand what is a girl and what is a boy. And Ministra Damaris is working hard on this subject. And also we are building a group of studies to get to know why we got so far in this opposition between women and men. So there are, we're finding people who have expertises in this subject to discuss from the whole, society, the civil society too. And also we are trying to build a new look to the intergenerational solidarity, because we see there is a gap. We have the children, we have the aged, and the gap is here. The families, the parents, they don't have patience with the children, and they don't have patience with their parents either. So it's like we have to build this. We have to get the parents now stronger, and also as international solidarity. Now we are having the Venezuelanos, They're the Venezuelans who are suffering a lot. So we are receiving the families. It's not only a person. When we adopt, for example, a worker, and we are giving work for these people, we say, if you adopt the worker, you have to adopt his family. And we are putting together families, and because we can't see a person alone. And, I'm ending. We're not playing chess in our politics. We say things clearly. Sometimes we are not political correct, but we say things clearly, and we are transparent, but we try to say things in a positive way. We try to dialogue, but we don't like masquerade our politics. We say, and the president is very clear, is incredible, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs too. We are saying things clearly, but with love. With hoping to have a dialogue, not fighting. We don't want to fight anybody. We just want to promote human rights. And two last things we are trying to do, and I invite you, all of you, to join us. We want to gather a group of pro-family countries. We have to have the family strong for everyone all over the world, and we can help each other to make this public policies stronger. So we are trying to launch this in the end of November at UN, and in next May we want to have like a May dedicated to families. We've chosen the color Golden May. It's going to be Golden May, the month that is dedicated to family as the source of health. The family is the source of health, because it's the place the person is cared. And the last thing is that we want to build a group to study the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, because we lost a lot of track. We reduced the declaration, and I can see in Brazil, we could say that it's like the right to abortion, these rights I'm going to talk about, they're not even in the declaration. That was born because of the dignity of the human person. But what rights we had there in Brazil, for example, for some years, the right to abortion, the right to be a trans, the right to get out of prison if you're a political, in jail for politics, and the right to transgender, to ideology of gender. So this was our agenda, and this was not even in the Declaration of Human Rights. So we want to bring back what is important in this declaration, that is what is human. And they say this is conservative. I wouldn't say that it's conservative. It's simply human, as Hannah Arendt would say. It's simply human. It's not conservative, and that must last for the rest of the days, because it's defending the human being. So we're going to start with Marianne Glendon and some people in Washington in this December. We're going to start this group to go deeper remember the declaration and bring it back so that we have that we can, all countries, respect it forever, and then we can have our democracy, like supported by these human rights. Thank you.
Sorry. Good people, this entire conference, ICPD25, was about alternatives and things that work. We organized these side events because the alternatives that were being offered inside KICC don't seem to work for us and are inconsistent with our faith values and our culture. Isn't it refreshing that you can hear a secretary for health, for family affairs, that affirms this entire list of things that work? A clap once again. I have chosen to wait. Resisting gender ideologies, awards to enterprises that support families, government paying pensions for children who have hydrocephalus, family for everyone, adoption procedures, legal deliveries and fostering, studies to explain how we got this far, intergenerational solidarity, adopting a worker and a family. Good people, these things work. I would like to confess we in Kenya have a family policy that the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum contributed to that has not yet been implemented. I hope that we will be challenged to follow suit. I would like to recognize that with us we have with us the ambassador of Poland, and he says he is pressed for time. Maybe we would let him speak. We also recognize with us His Grace Hubertus Van Megen, the nuncio to Kenya, the papal representative to Kenya. A clap for him. When we received a communication that the Holy See would disassociate from the proceedings at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, we celebrated it as an act of solidarity with us, but we didn't know we would have him here with us, so thank you very much for choosing to join us. We also have with us the Honorable Jude Njomo, Secretary General of the Catholic Members of Parliament Forum. I'd like now to invite the Polish ambassador to speak.
You want me to speak from the chair? Or? Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I feel very honored to make just a few remarks about the family policy of my country. It's just not the question that I'm rushed for another session, it's just that I came very late, so I don't want to hold up other speakers. Poland and Poland's problems are quite different from the ones that we just heard speaking a lady from Brazil, because Poland is a country which demographically has been for quite some time in decline. We had very low fertility rates, so it won't surprise you that we consider every born person to be a bonus to the society, to the country, and therefore a government policy is to support, but not just support issues concerned with actual birth and health rights, but all the social circumstances that can help Poland to recover its demographic picture, if you like. I have some figures that in year 2003, the fertility indicator has reached the level of 1.2. Now, thanks also, I would even say predominantly to government policies, has recovered to 1.45, 1.43. And the policies that my government pursues are mainly directed on social circumstances. This government realized that one of the reasons that prevents young people having families and having children is either low pay or low social circumstances. Therefore, this government instituted a few years ago a policy called 500 plus, which gives every family who has a newborn child 500 zlotys for a period until the child grows. Also, there is a program of building cheap, affordable housing, a program of extending health service, health care, and these programs are really having fruit in a sense that, as I already said, the fertility rate is recovering, and children we had a problem that started at the systemic economic change in Poland that pushed many families into relative poverty. Because of the 500 plus program, the extreme poverty, child poverty in Poland was virtually eradicated in a couple of years, which is something unusual on a global scale. We have also program of not building nurseries, but also making sure that women who want also be still working, because obviously if the population declines, there are less people even for work, to make sure that there is enough health care for children, that there are special financial provisions for young mothers who can have full, I might be corrected by here, up to 6 months you have full salary you can when the child is born, and it's relatively easy for a woman that decides she wants to go back to work to have, having a child does not lower her family's economic status and standard, because the child is born in a family. So if the family falls below acceptable standard, that obviously not only affects the child, but that is a disincentive to have children. Or therefore we have a number of programs. I said I'll be very brief. It will be easier if there will be then questions, to ask the questions, but to the very fact that my country is joining this conference in this, also in this particular place, and that I'm speaking in this particular panel, gives you an idea of the government overall policy. We are a predominantly, I would say, overwhelmingly a Christian country. The Christian ethics is something that motivates not only the individual people in the daily life, but also the policy of this government. And this government has a policy which you can easily describe as a pro-life, in a sense as making life not only for children but for the parents and for the prospective parents easier, and making sure that if they want to have children, every child is welcome to this world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marek Rau, the representative of the Republic of Poland to the UN programs, and also Ambassador of Poland to Kenya. I would like now to invite Dr. Attila Beneda, the Deputy Minister for Family Policy, Ministry of Human Capacities of Hungary.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation. I was asked to tell some facts about the Hungarian family policies. But first of all, I would like to tell you that now I'm 52 years old, and I was 10 when my parents attended a safari in Kenya. So I was hoping for more than 30 years to visit this wonderful country. But now I'm here. Thank you. So I would like to tell you some practical examples. Of course, we have the same values as the former speakers told about, but I would like to tell you in a little bit another point of view. So there is an ever-increasing voice echoing around the world that is trying to make us believe that families are a thing of the past. They are trying to make us think that it is not true anymore that a family is formed and started by the marriage of a man and a woman. Many are trying to change the thousands of years of meaning of family. Why? One may ask. They are doing it in the name of freedom. Today, a lot of things are done in the name of freedom. It is a trap for every ideological dictatorship that it will bring a better world, a more free world for those in need. The question is how it helps our freedom if we deconstruct in traditional families. Does it make our society happier? It is better for our societies if children grow up in an unstable environment, because we are aware where family is not a value, the child is not a value, just an individual in existence. We all know that for the development of a child, a loving mother and a father is essential. The child becomes a grown-up, a citizen, a worker, a colleague, etc. When we defend families, we defend society itself. Just as living organisms are made up of cells, society is made up of families. If we have great problems on the cell level, then you will have problem on the higher level eventually. Cancer starts from the cells and gradually builds its way up. For thousands of years, people knew this on the intuitive level. Today we are forgetting it, but now it's from research. The Hungarian government took action for these very reasons. For example, wrote in the new constitution in 2012 that marriage is between one man and one woman, and this is the basis of a family. Prime Minister, it's always a question what government can do for the society, for the nation, and of course for the families. The examples, what we can answer for this question. Prime Minister Orbán announced a demographic package including the Year of Families at the Budapest Family Summit 2017. The initiative to have a Year of Family aimed to highlight the measures supporting responsible childbearing and the upbringing of children, as well as to promote family values and a family-friendly attitude in society. It had three pillars. Firstly, the government has introduced new measures for the support of families. Secondly, several programs were organized, more than 2,000 programs were organized for families. And thirdly, a complex communication campaign was conducted in order to form public thinking and show that family is a basic value. Please allow me to give you an insight into many significant measures that were introduced in the Year of Family, showing the commitment of the government for supporting families. For the support of young mothers, from January 2018, the government suspends the repayment of the debt of student loan in the first trimester of pregnancy for women having their first child. Releases 50% in case women have 2 children, and for women having 3 or more children, the whole debt is released. Well, I would like to continue, but I would like to underline that every measures and the legislation we introduced from 2010, I mean from the Orbán government, we count the children from the first trimester of the pregnancy. So we count them as babies, as lived babies. In order to help families in need, the debt of families with 3 children having mortgage loans is as shown by the government in the amount of 4,000 US dollars, and by further 4,000 US dollars if they have more children. On the 1st of January 2019, the child home care benefit was introduced as a new benefit for parents taking care of their children reliant on care. The amount of the benefit is 400 US dollars and will be gradually increased to the level of the actual minimum wage until 2022, which is almost 700 US dollars per month. On the major government initiatives of the Year of Family is the gradual introduction of family-friendly obstetric care in Hungary. A tender development of family-friendly and family-oriented obstetric and premature intensive care infrastructure was launched with the main goal of having a positive experience of giving birth, creating the conditions of family-friendly care, and achieving a uniformly high quality obstetric care which has a mother-father newborn child focus. The priorities of the tenders are a good professional program, a complex infrastructure, and standardized obstetric care. Related to the tender, several programs are organized and supported in connection with breastfeeding and giving birth, the education of professionals as well as family members. Finally, as an important step, I would like to mention that the government has established a Family Policy Research Institute, the Kopp-Maria Institute for Demography and Family, which is conducting research with the aim of making it possible that all children who are wished for are born and finding the most appropriate solutions to our demographic problems in the aging society. These were the new legislations of the Year of the Family. In Hungary, we made a decision to build a family-friendly country, in other words, to mainstream and prioritize family. We have already made some important steps, but these are still the first stages of a long way. The presented measures and results are part of a long-term commitment of the Hungarian government to keep family policy in the center of its vision of future. Therefore, the Hungarian government continues to take steps to support families. The national consultation about the family support system surveyed Hungarian people about several crucial family issues. More than 1.4 million persons responded to the survey. In case of all questions, citizens supported the governmental approach to family policy, providing that there is a national consensus on the protection of families and children. Therefore, we received a clear mandate from the Hungarian people to continue our work and build a family-friendly country. I have the opportunity to draw your attention to the freshly announced Family Protection Action Plan of Hungary with 7 new measures for families. Childbearing support for young married couples is introduced from the 1st of July 2019, which means that all married couples where the wife is between the age of 18 and 40 can apply for a maximum of $25,000 of interest-free loan. The monthly debt payment is maximum $300 for 20 years. In case the first child is born in 5 years from the day of applying for the loan, the repayment is suspended for 3 years. When the second child is born, 30% of the debt is released, and when the third child is born, the state assumes the remaining amount of the debt. The family housing subsidy is now non-refundable subsidy and an interest-subsidized loan for building or buying a family house or for enlarging a flat area of the own family house. In the framework of the Family Protection Action Plan, the interest-subsidized housing loan is extended to the purchase of a used home, which is $45,000. In case of the families who have or undertake to have 2 children, and $60,000 for three children. Besides that, the $150,000 threshold as a condition for requiring family home star subsidy for purchasing used homes is abolished. The Hungarian government has also extended the possibility of crediting $4,500 for housing loan debts to families having their second child. In the case of their third child, raised the amount to $15,000. In order to acknowledge that the upbringing of children from 2020, all mothers who have raised or are currently raising 4 children will get exemption from the payment of the 15% personal income tax for their whole life. The government is giving a hand to large families in car purchase. Families with 3 or more children are eligible to a support of $10,000 when buying a new 7-seat car. Hungary continues its nursery development program as well. The current 50,000 nursery places, in 2010 we had 32,000, will be increased to 70,000 by 2022. I would like to underline when we start in order to provide an opportunity to each family who wishes to benefit from daycare for their children. And finally, the 7th step, it is crucial to help parents in reconciling work and family life. Therefore, a grandparents' child care benefit was introduced. If the grandparents are not yet retired, they are eligible for child care benefit in case that they take care of the child instead of the parents. Ladies and gentlemen, it can be seen from our family policies since 2010 that the family is the most important value from the Hungarian government. The measures and results presented are part of a long-term commitment of the Hungarian government to keep family policy in the center of its vision of future. We do believe that only stronger families can build a stronger and happier Hungary, Europe and the world. Thanks for it.
Keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping.
No, it's...
Can I just say a few words because I wanted to greet somebody who just left.
Okay.
I wanted to greet somebody who just left, a friend of mine for over 30 years who was came here with me, the Deputy of European Parliament, Mr. Richard Czarnecki, who left. He, just one little anecdote, he was the Vice President of the European Parliament for a number of years. And he defended the value that all people in this room will feel the treasure as well. and he was actually admonished for breaking what is called the political correctness and stating that the sex is determined by nature and not by somebody's whim, and the question of the family and so on. And they actually asked him, the European Parliament censored him and asked him to recant. And he said, the truth is truth, and he rather resign than speak the lie.
So we are having a good problem of having many delegates from government present here. We are struggling for chairs, so it is a good problem to have, isn't it?
Fantastic.
And the fact that as a family, we usually have space for everyone, no matter how small the house is, isn't it? Yeah. All right, thank you very much. Now, I will not repeat what has come out of Hungary. It is really exhilarating, okay? So just do a good clap, a huge one. Kenyan, Moja! Okay. We now move to Kenya. We have with us the Deputy Minority Whip in the Kenya National Assembly, and that is the Honorable Chris Wamalwa. Let's see a little bit the battles they've been fighting in the House.
I prefer here. I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, first and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to Kenya, to welcome you to Nairobi. Please feel at home. My name is, as you heard, Chris Wamalwa. I'm a member of the National Assembly, and I want to give the policy, Kenyan policy in terms of family and life. I want to start by saying Kenya is a sovereign republic, and we are pro-family, we are pro-life. And there are many programs in this country that can demonstrate that. First, the First Lady, the wife of His Excellency the President, started a program called Beyond Zero. Beyond Zero program is to help in terms of antenatal and prenatal care, antenatal and postnatal care, particularly the expectant mothers. I know today His Excellency the President was officially opening the ICPD, and from his remarks you can tell that his heart was not there, but it was here. I listened carefully, and there was no commitment that he gave on the 12 points. He only welcomed them, tourists you can see around, the economy. This is how Kenya is. I know he's a family person, and you've had a lot of issues, a lot of demonstrations in this country. The ICPD, the International Conference on Population and Development. In fact, my colleague members of parliament were saying the ICPD means the International Conference on Population and Destruction, but not development. In this country, we have a constitution. The constitution is the supreme law. When you read Article 1 of our constitution, it talks about sovereignty. And it says sovereignty belongs to the people of Kenya. And it can be exercised by the people themselves or through their democratically elected leaders. And this has been delegated to the executive, to parliament, judiciary, and independent commissions. And when you look at the supremacy of our constitution, which is articulated in Article 2 of the constitution, it says, any convention or treaty that is contrary to our constitution, it is null and void. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whatever conventions that might be there. But for it to have the effect of the law, it must be ratified by parliament. And I don't have to say, you saw what happened in parliament. When the ICPD applied to use parliament, a motion was brought on the floor of the House. And I want to salute Honorable Shamala, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Leader of Majority, Honorable Duale, who is a Muslim. The entire parliament stood up and said no. In our constitution, in the preamble, we acknowledge the Almighty God as the creator of all creations. We support life. Article 26 of our constitution say every Kenyan has a right to life. And life begins as conception. That is the constitution of this country. It doesn't matter the busybodies. They can say whatever they are. But the supremacy of this constitution, nobody can take it away. Again, in the same constitution, Article 26, it says abortion is not permitted. So we are pro-life. Forget about the busybodies, whatever they are saying outside there. And we also pro-family. Article 45 of the Kenyan Constitution says this, that the family is a fundamental, is a natural and fundamental unit of the society. And it will be protected by the nation. That is Article 45 of the Constitution. When it comes to marriage, I think it's Article 2, Article 45, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution says, marriage is between two adults of the opposite sex. So the issues of lesbianism, the issues of gayism, they'll never see the light of parliament. So whatever they are discussing, it will remain in those rooms of theirs. It will not go anywhere. We are here, we are pro-life, and we salute the Parliament of Kenya. And when you read Article 94 of the Constitution says, the legislative authority is vested in Parliament, not any other body. The executive cannot legislate. The judiciary cannot legislate. When it comes to legislation, it can only be done by Parliament. And that's why you can see our parliamentarians who are here today to demonstrate as they pass the law, they pass laws only which are pro-life and pro-family. I salute Hungary. I've had an opportunity to go to Hungary. And they have a ministry for family. I want to salute you for that. And in Kenya, we are looking forward also to go towards that direction. So ladies and gentlemen, we want to inform you that Kenya is on the map. We are pro-family, we are pro-life. You should not listen to any other that is going there. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Quite reassuring. As we said, we are still in Kenya. I'd like now to invite Bishop Alfred Rotich from the National Family Life Office of the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops. He's been very supportive of what is going on here. My Lord, before you stand up, I need to mention a little background to these side events. When we got the indication that many of us who are pro-life and pro-family would not be accredited to enter KICC, we pulled together a team of religious leaders through the auspices of the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. The Kenya Christian Professionals Forum is supported by the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, and the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya. And we had a breakfast meeting at which our religious leaders said, Generals, go to the ground and make sure that we make people aware of this agenda. Bishop Rotich has been with us all through, and he's been very instrumental in making this happen. We thank the Archdiocese of Nairobi for granting this space free of charge. We've not paid anything, and they hosted us here. So, my Lord Bishop, you're welcome.
Your Excellencies, Members of Parliament, my dear brothers and sisters, the position of the Church in Kenya is hard from here because we are one Catholic Church and we have the Pope. And when the Pope says, and the Church at whole, we listen, we obey, and we do. I am here representing the Conference of Catholic Bishops. And recently we were in a plenary, and when the Family Life Commission presented this issue about ICPD25, the Bishop paused and issued a statement before this conference and had also a moment that a group of us visited the president on this issue. All to say that though the summit came in as a thief, yes, because we realized that the thief was around, and then we closed the door. And we sent messages, of course, because it was held in our city, knowing, of course, that they did not go through the actual protocol to host this conference. We said we must hear a voice of the conference. The statement went, it was circulated, and it received an echo by the interreligious and ecumenical bodies. And we are very happy, we are thankful for the people of this country and the people of goodwill and the interreligious team that came to echo what the bishop said, that yes, we are not party to the 6 points that is being discussed. And on our table, we had received already a communique from the Holy See, courtesy the Apostolic Nuncio. We said, yes, we want to go by it. But on the side shore, because we belong to this country, on the side shore, we will make noise. And that noise, devoid of violence, that noise will go through the media in order to say that we are not happy, that we are concerned, that the population of this country, we were expecting that it was 55 and it's going down to 47. And we are told that there are bodies who are around our streets and selling things that we don't go, and telling our young girls, young boys, and even talking about some unions. We know we have unions in this country about unions, even labor, even school, like Kenya National Union of Teachers Union. But when we heard about some unions that they want to use a name that we have in our sacraments, we said no. And we continue to voice this, that we are not party to those agenda. And our voice is prophetic. That yes, the challenge is here, but we use the opportunity as a conference and the country to map out strategies in order to influence the policy. And I'm very happy indeed that these countries that presented, we can see where a country has housed the family at the center gives joy, isn't it? And I could see your faces saying, radiating, because that is the gift of the Holy Spirit. And in our strategy, we are saying, we are not going to be silent. We want to ask our parliamentarians that they move with speed, using this opportunity to Parliament. Let us benchmark. Go to these countries. Let's have a group of people saying we are pro-life in the world. And being, of course, so that we can benchmark, we influence policy, so that this country also may have a minister who is in charge of the family and sits with us, and I pray, and already we are vetting the names of those who are in Parliament for the future, and so that they can work hard. And we need to speak to the government of the day and say, we love our parliamentarians, but we love them when they are protectors of life. Through up to the counties. And secondly, we have been interviewed by the media and say, what do you think about the legacy of the president? I said, on behalf of the Family Commission, we allowed it. But who will occupy the houses that we are building if there are no people that start from conception? And therefore, we have had also a country, Hungary, saying from the trimester, when a child is still coming in the womb, they have a program. So if this country adopted that, then we will assure that the land will have adequate houses to house these children. And the young people, those who are looking forward to get married and who are doubting, they know there is hope. And therefore, brothers and sisters, there is a challenge, but we are taking it as a cross, and we are believers of resurrection. And we take this challenge in our midst as a cross, but we carry that cross, and we ask God that we need to plant seeds, and those seeds are seeds of hope, protecting life now and in the future. Let us work together, and I'm grateful for the ecumenical presence here on behalf of the Kenya Conference and interreligious men and women who are here, even the youth, and also the diplomatic corps representing the governments, and our media who has already stepped in to accompany us. And as you know, as we fight corruption, one of the areas that it has been corrupted is on the family life. Step in now and join the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops and the country to fight corruption, starting from the family, by saying no to the things that corrupts us and say yes to the things that promote life. I am very grateful, and I have no words to thank you. Thank you very much.
Many thanks. Many thanks, my Lord Bishop, for that great message. I'd like now to humbly invite His Grace Hubertus van Megen, the Apostolic Nuncio to Kenya, to address us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the floor. And first of all, my apologies that I was late. It was the famous Nairobi traffic. Took me an hour and a half to get 10 kilometers. So that's the way it is. Myself was accredited to Kenya in May of this year. Had been in another African country before, originally Dutch, by the way. So I know it quite well, the story. Have been, however, in Africa now 10 years. And having been living in Africa for 10 years, I'm very much aware of how foreign this whole story is to the average African. The average African, especially outside of Nairobi, doesn't even have the concepts to think about what is discussed here at this conference. It's completely and utterly alien to the Kenyan culture, set of values, to the African way of life. And therefore also I think that it was purposely done that this conference was organized in Nairobi. Get the horse of Troy into the city. And even though people might already have suspected that the government of Kenya in one way or another would not agree on this, but at least the ideas came in. And we have here two representatives, one of Hungary, one of Poland, both old enough to remember communism. And they know how easily you get used to certain ideas. If you repeat it long enough, people will start to believe it. And this is the way these kind of values or non-values are propagated into the world. This is the way it has been done even within Western Europe and even within my own country. It is the policy of the little steps. Once you have opened a door, you will not be able to close it anymore. However, you have to ask yourself also, where does all this come from? Because then also you know how to attack it at the root, so to say. What is the basis for this thinking? One of the things maybe you have to think about is, what is exactly life? And what is life for you? And what is your life for you? Do you feel and experience your own life as a gift, as something that came to you? And frankly speaking, even if you think about it, even in your own awareness, you understand already that that life you have goes over and beyond you. It's not something that you control. And that also then immediately steps in, if life is something which is over and beyond me. By the way, it was given to me through my parents. I didn't ask for it. It came to me. And that gift stays with me till one day, like a thief in the night, it is taken away from me again. This is the normal way of perceiving life. However, if life is something that I control, if life is a material thing that has no metaphysical meaning, if life doesn't come from somewhere else but is just a result of coincidences, it's just the result of a sperm and an egg getting together purely by coincidence. It could have happened, it could have not. And this little thing developed into a bunch of cells. And later on, once it is born, especially not before it is born, but after it is born, we start to call it man or woman, or even that is starting to be very difficult at this point of day. Because maybe you look like a woman, but actually from inside you feel that you are a man. And the other way around, by the way. This is what is taught at the other side of the room, or the other side of the street. And this is, for many of these people, profound conviction already. Even though, and that is a strange thing about it, many of these people, 100% of them, come from families with a father and a mother. Group themselves up as a girl or a boy. And 98% of them experience that also like that, and many of them have their own families. But there is this conviction, I need, as it was said here also, I need to be politically correct. I need to say that sexuality is disconnected from my physical appearance, that sexuality is disconnected from procreation, and that I'm the Lord over my own body. I can do whatever I want to do with my body, and nobody should intervene in that. The whole claim of abortion is, this is my body, which is, of course, deception. From a biological point of view, at the moment you're pregnant, your body is at the service of that new body. It's not the other way around. So, to say that you are owner of your own body, no, you're not anymore. If you are pro-choice, yes, of course you are pro-choice, but your pro-choice already started before the pregnancy. You made your choice when you went into that bedroom. Think about that first. Now, as I told you, I'm Dutch. I've been living many years outside, many years in Africa, Latin America. And each time I come home, I see in Europe, and I have here 2 Europeans next to me, an old, gray, and tired society. Is this really the society we want? A society where children do not appear on the street? A society where you will not hear the laughter of children? A society where you have to look for the child with a lamp because they hardly exist? You understand what kind of society that is. It is a society which is completely focused on itself, on the now, here and now, by the way. While the African society, being a natural society, you are always, and that's the way human society, in any society, even within the animal world goes, you are always at the service of your children. You live in order that your children may be fed, that they are educated, that they grow up, that they have studies, that they themselves become fathers and mothers, right? In many ways, in our Western society, that doesn't work like that anymore. I need to make a career. I need to make money. I need to go at least once, twice, 3 times a year on holidays. And then somewhere in that, if there is still space and money, maybe I can fit in a child. So that means that child is at my service. By the way, there also comes in the whole thinking about for gay couples to have, you cannot even say it, to have children, but to adopt children, whatever you want to call it. It is the right to have a child. No. That's not the way it works. The child has a right to have a father and a mother. That is the other way. See? In many ways, what happens at the other side of the street is the world upside down. And you people, we together, we have to stand for that family, which is the cornerstone of society, as was said here. At the moment, the family falls apart. And you see it happen everywhere in the Western world. At the moment the family falls apart, society falls apart. And there is no future for that society anymore. I'm pretty much aware that even many politicians in Europe, and here again the Polish ambassador, Hungarian ambassador, they know when they speak to their colleagues that many of their Western colleagues are aware of that. But they see no way out because they are so addicted to their own ideology. There's no way for them to turn back on their traces and say, okay, we need to do something else. We need to turn back to the fundamental values of human life, of the family, and therefore of the society and of the future of this world. Together we stand strong, and together we will win this battle without any doubt, because God is with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Grace. It's now an opportunity for comments from the floor or questions. We are supposed to keep them brief. We only have 5 minutes for that. So, okay, so I've seen 4 hands already. I will start with I didn't count. Okay, that is good. All right.
Thank you very, very much for your presentations. I'm so grateful that I myself am here today. I very quickly would like to make, it's more a question, a comment. As parliamentarians, I had brought a petition to Parliament to interrogate after the courts had ruled that it was okay for a lesbian gay association to be formed. We wanted an investigation done on who was funding within Kenya the various organizations. Perhaps I didn't lobby too well and it was my own fault, but Parliament takes the position that they're not going to mention the word lesbian or gay in Parliament. But going forward, something not to be answered today, but to think through. I did read in one of the communiques for what is going on across the road that they would tag development aid and foreign policy to the acceptance of these commitments. How do we go about setting up a modus operandi to understand who is being funded, how is whatever funding, because there are civil society organizations that have complained to me personally. They may be in advocacy or something else, but they're being told, if you do not promote these other commitments, we will not give you the money. So going forward, I would like to have more conversations around that. Not today and not here.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everyone who has addressed us today for their heroism and commitment to the family, because it's the most important sustainable development. However, I'd like to address my 2 brief questions to the delegation from America. I have served as an expert to the Holy See Mission at the United Nations in New York.
For instance, we have organizations that are coming up to redefine what is health for the people of Uganda. We have known what health is from the very inception of Uganda as a nation, even before that. But then to come and tell us that health also involves psychological and what, in order to bring in ideologies that conform to our people, we are saying as a nation a big no to that. And we have challenges in our health system, that is true. Our women and girls have challenges in maternal health care. A woman, for instance, has to walk a distance of 8 miles or 10 miles, sometimes even 30, to look for some medical services. It could be postnatal care, it could be antenatal care, it could be to take a child for an anti-malarial treatment. And while our women are continuing to suffer in that kind of sorry state, what the outside world is coming to impose us is that such a woman should be given a right to kill her baby in the womb, and this is ridiculous. But we have a good jurisprudence coming up because we know what is good for our people. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll let you know that just this week, this very week on Monday, that is yesterday, the High Court in Uganda made a judgment where the government of Uganda was condemned to pay a total of 1.5 billion shillings. I don't know what that is in Uganda, I mean in Kenyan shilling, but about $5 million US. Because they left the mother, the doctors left the mother to die after delivering, they refused to transfuse her. And because of that, the High Court was bold enough to pass judgment against the government of Uganda. We hope that it is going to be a lesson for the government to know what is really pressing the people and all that. And lastly, I want to commend everybody who has spoken here. You've given us hope. When we watched the documentary, The Road to Nairobi, it showed that these people are coming to bring all these ideologies and everything else on us, and they say, we are coming with our money, we are coming with our people, and we are coming to Kenya, we want this and the other. But here we have heard voices that have given us hope. Thank you so much, and we stand with you. Thank you.
I only saw one hand in this direction, so it's only that one hand, and then we close.
Thank you very much. I have 2 brief questions. The first one is a spin-off from my sister from Nigeria. We have consequences for contractors and business people who come from the US and from other states and come to work here and engage in corruption practices. Are there any consequences for those who come with their donor money? I'm talking specifically about International Planned Parenthood, IPAS, HIVOS, and the rest of them. Is there a way of getting them defunded and tell them, keep your activities there, so that there are consequences for them bringing things that subvert, because corruption subverts our systems, so this also subverts our culture. Is there consequences? And secondly, from across the panel, the interventions that you have for families, the ones for extra money for the family and for extra leave, are they actually helping, especially in Poland, is it helping to turn the tide of population decline? Is it helping to bring the population up? Or are they just, are people saying, oh yes, this is very nice, but we just want one child still?
Thank you. We'll now allow I think we need to allow the panel to respond. Let me call my authority. Invite the panelists to respond. If you have anything to say, we will interact with them afterwards.
I want to thank everyone for coming today, and I want to say that the United States government stands for life, born and unborn, and every single person. I can't speak to specific policies outside of my portfolio, but I can say unequivocally that we stand for life, born and unborn, every single person, period.
Thank you.
As has been said, whole Europe is aging, as there are aging societies. So all of our family policies try to help to stop the decreasing of the population. We have some little results in the recent years, but we really do believe that this is the only possibility to strengthen the families, and the wished babies born will help to increase the society again.
Paula, would you like to say something?
To answer the question, yes. As I said, when a few years ago, my help on a mobile died, and I have to improvise a bit of my presentation. But the fertility rate has risen quite substantially. I was to list all the programs that we have, maybe not as generous as our Hungarian friends, but we also have a number of programs helping. One is, for example, given to every child when he enters school, just to make sure that not only children are born and raised, but also educated and have some better future. And as far as these programs, they do work, and the government we had recently election, the government was re-elected, the ruling party, and there are other programs that the government is working on. We do also have a ministry, but I think it's called, if I remember well, Family and Youth. So these problems are also seen. But just to change completely, I would just to my personal take add to it. I've heard one of the I think one gentleman over there was asking for that we need leadership in this quite difficult situation where telling the truth in Europe sometimes is seen as something which you shouldn't do because others don't do it. We need to find leaders in our own hearts. We need to be bold to stand up against the tide. And it's not just leaders. I mean, leaders will find leaders if there's enough people, ordinary, simple people who are bold enough to tell the truth and do things which are rightful, blessed, and natural. Thank you.
It's just an an association of ideas when you spoke about funds. This morning when I was listening to the one-track expositions I had there in ICPD, and also listening to you, Bishop, when you talked about hearts, I was thinking about what moves these people. Like, what is that? Is money, is like manipulation, is like power over people. I've been thinking about that because when you offer, like you say, no, contraceptives for young people and our bodies and whatever, I always think there's a heart behind this person, you know, like relationships, they go to the core of a person. So I think we should go back to Aristotle's theory, political theories, and bring back what is happiness for a society, because the main problem in Aristotelian theory was like, what is happiness? What is real happiness? You give all this like contraceptives or whatever and sexual rights and reproductive rights, but you have suicide, we have like divorce, we have whatever. So we should think, I mean, the governments should go deep in, like, it's not only pragmatist questions, issues, but it's like we have to make people happy, families happier. No, and this is a question. So we should face like things, I mean, deeperly, go deep in these issues, I mean, the government, and study all this, but see what is behind, you know, to fight, or, I mean, not fight, to face it, you know, and help really people to be happier.
Thank you. We received information that the government of Kenya made commitments today, so I'll invite Honorable Chris to read.
Yes, thank you very much, honorable participants. As we conclude this, I just want to read out what was distilled out of the president's speech. And he gave commitment to only, the word only. We emphasize only. We were told there were 12 points. And one, ending FGM by 2022. Ending maternal death from pregnancy and childbirth. Protecting women and girls from underage marriage. Greater protection from gender-based violence, especially from intimate partners. Increase access to tertiary and secondary education for boys and girls. Equal participation and equal representation at all levels of political, public, and corporate spheres. Strengthen partnerships for greater success. I've not seen anywhere sexuality, reproductive health rights. They are nowhere, I've not seen that. I've not heard anything on lesbianism, the gayism, the issue of children consent, 8 years, whatever. So whatever was the ICPD coming in Kenya, it was dead on arrival. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I think UNFPA must be regretting why they chose Kenya for this conference, but that's their business. Now I'd like to invite Bishop Protich to give us the closing remarks, and then invite the Nuncio to give us the final benediction. Good people, we have a statement that is going to be read to us at the end of this. So when our diplomats withdraw from the panel, don't go out of the room. We need to do a press statement by Kenya Christian Professional Forum, the Interreligious Council, and the partners of these two organizations. A press release largely to communicate what the status is as of now. So I'd like to invite Bishop Protich to give us the closing remarks, and then invite the Nuncio to give us the benediction.
Well, a big thank you to you all. A big thank you to the diplomatic corps, the members of parliament, and individual to you all. From the conference, we are happy that we have been together. I'd like to close my remarks by saying that let us listen to the voice of God. Let us be always listening to the voice of God through the scriptures and the teachings of the church. And when I mean the teaching of the church is to the ecumenical body, that we are one body in Christ. Baptism, let us honor the mandate that Christ gave us. Family, let us strengthen the family. Let us strengthen the family and let the parents be at home and nurture life. Let us have an individual commitment, and that individual commitment will come from the courage that comes from the Holy Spirit, that spurs us to go out and gives us the gifts of the Holy Spirit, that we may reap the gifts, the fruits of the Holy Spirit. Lastly, let us open the scripture, Ephesians chapter 6. Put on the armor of God. Put on the armor of God. And don't be afraid to stand tall and be confident and walk in the streets, because God has created you. You are a unique person in the eyes of God. Thank you. May I have the pleasure to invite His Excellency the Nuncio.
Shall we rise?
The Lord be with you.
With your spirit.
On the intercession of the saints and martyrs of Africa, on the intercession of Saint Joseph and the Virgin Mary, the Holy Family of Nazareth, may God protect you, guide you, inspire you, and bless you. In the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I would invite our diplomats to withdraw from the panel. I request Bishop Rotich to stay there. Invite Dr. Reverend Nelson Wakanda to come to the front. The rest of us, let's be seated. Dr. Daniel Cura, please come to the front. Joy Mediva, please come to the front. So we have KCCB, we have NCCK here. KCPF Joy, sit at the center, you're going to do the reading.
You'll be at the center because you're the one reading.
Yes, yes. Usually they read in beats.
Beats.
Yeah. Okay. So you can chat a little bit about our Yes.
Yeah, conclusion. Conclusion. Yeah, conclusion. Yeah,
okay. All right. So you do a form of introduction, your speech that you have to give, what is you move into tell us we are going to read this press release.
have the director of the Interreligious Council for Ethiopia. If you can say a few minutes as the panel agrees on how they are going to do the reading. Just acknowledging the press.